Hello, everyone. Another story at Cindy Harper Speaks today. So today's story is called Something for Everyone. Looks like they're planning a party, a barbecue. It's written by Joanna Korba and it's illustrated by Nancy Carpenter. Something for everyone. I always like a nice party. The strategy focus, it says Tony, Jay, and Elvis choose music for a neighborhood party. As you read, infer what the characters are like. How do you predict the party will turn out? All right. Everyone who lives in the Santiago's neighborhood calls it the UN, the United Nations. That's because the neighbors come in all colors and nationalities. English is spoken here, but so are Chinese, Portuguese, Russian, Haitian, Creole, Laotian, and more than one kind of Spanish. Every summer, the UN has a big neighborhood party. There's always lots of food, fun, and friendship. Neighbors take turns being in charge. Last summer, it was the Santiago's turn. Ooh, sounds like my kind of party. Food from all over. Then we're agreed, Mrs. Santiago was saying over the phone. We'll have the party at the end of July. It's going to be great this year. We'll talk more later, amiga. As she hung up, her son Tony walked into the kitchen. He was followed by his best friend Jay. You're looking at one half of this year's UN party committee, Mrs. Santiago announced proudly. I just asked your mother to be the other half, she said to Jay. These parties are getting too big for one family to manage. Tony Santiago and Jay Kovac had been best friends since they were in preschool. Now they were 11 years old and in the same sixth grade class. They were on the same Little League team and they played for the same after-school hockey team. They liked the same computer games and read the same books. Their parents were friends too. It made sense for the Santiagos and Kovacs to work together on the neighborhood party. That's so cool. Tony and Jay. What about Poppy? Tony asked his mother. Isn't he doing anything for the party? We put him in charge of the barbecues, his mother answered, along with Jay's dad. Hey, a Santiago and a Kovac should be in charge of music too, said Tony, pointing to himself and Jay. We know what's hot and what's not. His mother answered. She looked doubtful, but after a few silent moments, she said, okay, but just remember the music is meant to entertain people, to make them sing and dance and enjoy themselves. That's the point. Jay nodded. Sure, Mrs. Santiago, he said. We can do that. He turned to Tony. Come on. Let's go to my house and figure out what music we want to use. The boys headed for the door. Tony, Mrs. Santiago called out sweetly. Haven't you forgotten something? Tony stopped inside. He'd almost managed to escape. Come on, Tony, you know you're supposed to look after your brother in the afternoon. I have to work in peace. Mrs. Santiago was a writer for a local paper. We agreed, she said. Yeah, I know, Mommy, Tony answered. He sighed again as he walked into the hall. Elvis, he called, come on down. We're going over to Jay's. Then he leaned against the wall, waiting and waiting and waiting. His brother took his time coming down the stairs. He didn't like the afternoon babysitting arrangement any better than his brother did. I just happened to be reading a really good book, Elvis complained. Why do I have to stop and go to Jay's? Because we're in charge of the dance music for the neighborhood party, Tony said. Jay and I have to decide what to take. But hey, bring your book. You can read while we have our meeting. Elvis's eyes lit up. We're in charge of the dance music? Cool. I know all about dance music. I'm a great dancer. You two can just leave it all to me. He ran out the door heading for Jay's house. No, you've got it wrong. It's just Jay and me. Hey, wait, Tony called, dashing down the sidewalk after Elvis. Jay followed the pair, shaking his head. He was pretty sure that the first meeting of the UN Dance Music Committee wasn't going to go well. all sat on the floor of the sun porch that Jay used as a bedroom. Tony looked through his friends' CDs. Jay had a notepad in his lap. We should make a list of the music we want to tape, he said to Tony. He was trying to ignore Elvis. How many tapes should we make? Before Tony could answer, Elvis started talking. We have to tape music that people can really dance to. That means Latin music. Everyone knows it has the best dance beat. He got up and started dancing to an imaginary song. Don't you have a book to read, was all Tony said to Elvis. But Jay was ready to argue. Well, this everyone doesn't agree. If we're talking about great dance music, I have some techno albums that are perfect. Okay, that's set. Latin music and techno music, Tony said. Great, I think this meeting is going really well. Techno, you mean that computer junk, Elvis sniffed? That's not real music. Excuse me, Jay said coldly. Jay and Elvis glared at each other. Tony got between them. Hey, he said, why make this an argument between two kinds of music? Why can't we have both? In fact, we should have all different kinds of music. Rock, country, rap, hip hop. Rap and hip hop are the same thing, Elvis mumbled. No, they're not, Tony said firmly, although he wasn't sure. Anyway, the point is that for the United Nations Party, we need United Nations music. That's true, Jay said, nodding. Music from other countries. Latin music is from other countries, Elvis mumbled. He frowned down at the floor, thinking. Suddenly he looked up. There's something else we have to remember, Elvis told Tony and Jay. We can't just have dance music that kids like. We may need to make sure that we have music our parents like, and older people too. Jay caught on. Right. We need some disco and funk, mambos, cha-chas, and swing music for that kind of dance they did in the old days. You mean the jitterbug? Elvis asked. Yeah, cried Jay. Now we'll really have something for everyone. But, Tony began. Two heads swiveled toward him. Tony didn't agree. How could Tony have a problem? He was always the peacemaker. How do we know what kind of dance music everyone likes? Tony asked. Maybe there's Chinese dance music that we don't know about, and Brazilian music. Then there's Mr. Bromley. What kind of music do you suppose he likes? Mr. Bromley spent most of his time on his front porch, frowning at everyone who passed by. He usually greeted Jay and Tony with, "You kids stay off my grass." Mr. Bromley, said Elvis, he won't dance no matter what we play. You can't think of something for every single person in the neighborhood. I guess maybe that's true, Jay said. No, it's not, Tony shot back. He was smiling. I have a plan. Tony's plan was to ask everyone in the neighborhood, every man, woman, and child, except really little kids, to give him a recording of their favorite dance tune. Then he and Jay could put all the tunes on tape. Now that's a good idea. With the help of Elvis and two of his friends, they carried out the plan quickly. House by house, they gathered armloads of music. There were 50-year-old records, 25-year-old tapes, and brand new CDs. They had enough music to make dance tapes for 5 years worth of parties. So, you admit it, Mrs. Santiago said when the tapes were finished. Your little brother was a big help to you. Let's not get carried away, Mommy, said Tony. He started off by being a big pain. His mother put her hands on her hips. Okay, Tony said. In the end, he was kind of a help, maybe a pretty big help. All right. We couldn't have done it without him, he sighed. His mother patted his cheek. You're a good big brother, she said. That year, the UN party was hot in every way. The 4th of July sun was hot. Hamburgers, turkey, burgers, fish, steaks, chicken, and ribs sizzled hot and smoky on the grill. And most of all, there was the dance music. It was hot, because there was something for everyone on the dance tape. Everyone danced, every man, woman, and child in the UN. Everybody. Even Mr. Bromley. That was awesome. So let's think about the selection. How does Elvis help his brother Tony decide what kind of music to play at the party? Elvis was a big influence helping them decide because he said they needed to have music for everyone. Why do Tony and Jay decide to play many different kinds of music? So that they would appeal to everyone because they wanted everyone to be entertained and dance and party. Number 3, making a big party can be a problem for one person. What does Tony's mom do about that? Well, she puts her son and his friend together, Tony and Jay, so that they can solve that. And then Elvis gets to tag along too. Number 4, how does Tony's approach to choosing the party music differ from Jay and Elvis's approach? Which way would you choose? Okay, so think about that, discuss it with your parent, and if you like this selection, press like at the end, and I'll see you next time at Cindy Harper Speaks. I hope you liked something for everyone.